Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Founders Mentality. I'm super excited about the guest that I have today. And she just told me in full disclosure, she's like, I don't even know why you want to have me on here. And I was like, because I think people are going to really like this story. And so full transparency, me and this guest, we're not friends. We barely know each other. I heard her speak at an event and I went, my God, that is crazy. I can't believe she's doing this with her life. How do you even start doing something like that? And through a mutual connection, she was basically told she has to be on this show and she didn't have a choice. And so she's here. I'm going to let her introduce herself. I want you to just say who you are, what you're doing, what this thing is that you're doing, real quick, and then we'll get right into this. Okay. So welcome to the Founders Mentality.
Amazing. Thank you. My name is Shayla and Shayla with Living on a One Way.
There you go. Yeah. Living on a One Way.
And it's a YouTube channel, sort of Instagram. And I have been traveling full time since 2015. I used to say a year and I was like, well, that's not evergreen.
Yeah.
I need to say the year. And then okay. So since 2015 and YouTubing since then as well. Okay. And so I've just been slow traveling. People are always like, oh, how many countries have you been to? Right. I'm like, I don't care. I don't know. I've lived places for like months at a time to like get a real feel for the place. Yep. And then I go to the next spot. Mm-hmm. But probably the past 6 months I've been home in Minnesota. Okay. And I'm not really sure what, And
you're figuring out the next transition.
But
so this is why I wanted to have you on, because I am, and I've said this before on the show to other guests, I'm a creature of comfort, right? The way I put my office together is exactly the way that I decorate my home. When I'm away from my home, I want to feel like I'm still in my environment.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a high maintenance kind of person. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? Yeah. And so Restoration Hardware is like, we love this Josh guy. He's amazing. Every property he moves into, he takes our stuff. But oh my gosh. I can't imagine not having a home that I go to every single day. I can't imagine just saying, yep, I'm taking off, I'm doing this. But this is what you've been doing now for the last 4 years of your life. Yeah. Just listeners, imagine this.
Yeah.
This should give you anxiety hearing this said back to you.
It gives me anxiety to hear you say that you need things like all the same and like you like having a place. I'm like,
yes. Maybe it's a disorder. Maybe you have the disorder. Maybe we will never know.
Maybe we're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right.
Yeah.
But where did this come from? What was the turning point in your life, or the thing that caused a decision for you to say, what I want to do is hit the road and document it and be a YouTube star, essentially traveling the world?
Oh wow. Thanks.
I know. I said it, so it's true now. But
this is your podcast.
I can say whatever I want. So what was that turning point for you, though?
People ask me this all the time. There wasn't one.
Oh.
No. I was working. Okay, so I did what most millennials do, right? They work. Well, I mean, that's whatever. I went to college. Yep. And then I came back home and started working at the same restaurant that I worked at before college. Sure. With my new degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would take like 2-week trips to Thailand and 2-week trips to Peru. And my job was like, cool, 2 weeks, no problem. See you when you get back. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to lead a yoga retreat in Costa Rica. Then I'm going to go to my friend's wedding in Tahoe. Yep. Then I'm going to go work in a hostel on the Appalachian Trail on the East Coast. I'll only be gone for 3 months and then I'll be back.
Wait a minute now. When you were doing this, was this purely for fun, or were you documenting it already from day one?
This was just for fun.
So lost footage right there.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
All of it.
We didn't even have a proof of concept on can I make a living being homeless professionally?
Yeah,
this is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went on these trips, you weren't documenting it. Right. Were you coming home and telling people about it, and people were saying, well, I wish we could have seen this?
No, so I told the restaurant I would be gone for 3 months. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and then I'll be back. And they were like, we can't hold your job for 3 months. Like, if you come back, you need to reapply for your job. Okay. If it's available. And I was like, ew.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sorry. I'm not a lawyer. I'm serving tables
exactly.
here.
You just
let me come back.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, yeah, if there's a spot. And I was like, I'll just move to Puerto Rico and apply for a job there instead. That was literally my mindset, and that's what I did. And so when I was at this friend's wedding in Tahoe, they were like, why don't you start a blog about your travels? Yeah. And I was like, because I don't like writing. Like, responding to an email will take me an hour, even if it's just a quick response. Like, I don't like writing. I just don't enjoy it. But talking, doing video, no problem.
Right.
So I was like, well, I guess I can start a video thing.
Okay. So what was that like? What was the starting point of documenting this journey? Was it just you and a camera and a tripod?
No.
Okay.
It was my laptop computer.
You were using your laptop camera.
Yeah.
Very professional of you.
The most. Sometimes it would wave because it was sitting on a nightstand on my bed.
Yeah.
And if I would just move, the nightstand would move, and then it was gnarly. Yeah.
Okay. And how long was that your production setup?
Oh, for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what caused you to essentially reinvest in this idea and provide more better produced content? What were the viewers going up? Were people asking for anything? I mean, what was happening?
No, I don't know. I kind of just committed to doing it once a week. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it once a week.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. Hey guys, my name is Shayla. I've been traveling full time since 2015 and I make these videos every Wednesday.
Yep.
This Wednesday I'm going to talk about blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's how it started, all the videos. And so I think I maybe got a camera so I could take photos of my travels. And then I was like, ugh. I should probably be video recording, but it was more effort because when I did it on my camera, it just uploaded to my computer. Or when I did it on my computer, it was just on my computer. Now I was like, I have to take the SD card out, put it in the computer, edit it. Like, this is an extra step I don't want to deal with.
All the things.
But then I started doing it, and it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is crazy. So I mean, because seriously, all right, I have all these startup founders on this show that just premeditate all of this stuff. I mean, it's they talk a lot about analysis by paralysis, where like they at a certain point they just have to stop analyzing what they're doing. They have to get started.
Yeah.
And you were more like, you just started without even trying to start. You basically got pushed into it by your friends, and then it just became a thing that was okay. But all right, so fast forward then.
Okay, so
the first year was kind of like that.
2 years in, I had like maybe 2,000 subscribers.
Okay.
Okay.
Without really even trying. I mean, with just okay, that's fine.
Right. So then I did it. I went to Burning Man and I did a video about Burning Man, and I had just been on a trip to Utah, and then I went to, I don't know. I was like, it was like boom, 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 and then I got to Burning Man.
Right.
And I was like, I just don't really feel like doing anything. Like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
So my video was Burning Man as a no girl, because that's literally what I was. The people would be like, let's go out on the pirate ship to the middle of the playa. And I was like, okay. And then I just started crying on the pirate ship and walked back to camp through the desert. Like, I was like, I don't want to be around people. I'm just over this. I didn't talk about that in the video. In the video, I talked about what Burning Man was and how it's so rad and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And that video has almost 1 million views.
Okay.
And so at that point, I was like, oh,
right.
People are looking for a Burning Man video. Right. They're not looking at what did Shayla do in Puerto Rico this week.
Yep.
And so that was kind of a shift where I was like, okay, top 8 tips to know for solo female travelers. And but I don't plan my trips. You're gonna love this too. I show up.
This is terrifying already.
Yeah.
Just, okay.
No plan. I show up to a spot. We went to Ireland and we had rented a camper van, and my boyfriend now, he came there with me, and we were like, so let's look at those Instagram posts we shared back and forth and like see where they even are in Ireland.
Right.
So we got a napkin and I drew a circle, and that was Ireland. And then I was like, okay, well, this is a spot we want to go. This is a spot we want to go, and kind of just mapped it out. And we're like, we've got a lot of spots in the north.
Yeah.
We should head that way.
Yeah. And that's what you did.
Yeah. And then we'd go to the bar and we'd be like, hey, what's like cool around here? And they're like, oh, there's a surf beach over there. And we'd go do that.
I mean, I love this.
Do you? Could you travel
There's
like
something
that?
about this that I absolutely could not do.
Yeah.
Like, I just absolutely could not do this. I'm not even gonna lie. But then part of my brain is like, but wait a minute, Josh. What if you stepped outside your? Now I can tell you, 1,000,000% that what I would need to do something like that is I would need like $1 million in the bank account, so that at least I'm not stressed that I'm going to run out of money. I'm going to not be able to stay at a nice hotel. I'm not a hostel stayer.
Or a van.
Or a van.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Right.
I mean, if you haven't picked up enough yet, like the idea of sleeping, oh, that's very professional of me. The idea of sleeping in a van or in a hostel, like, this isn't me, right? I just
it's
can't
good to
do
know
it.
that.
Yeah. So, but I'm assuming that that's kind of how you do these things, right?
Yeah,
because
100%.
you can't do this on a huge budget, right?
No.
Okay, so I love this. All right.
I was living off of $1,500 a month.
Terrifying. Okay, so you 2 years in, do the Burning Man, you get all these impressions. At that point, now you're realizing I could probably monetize this. I could actually turn this into something where I can do this and maybe try to find some money. I'm assuming. What happened at that point? No? Oh my God. Okay. That's fine. This is one of the strangest founders mentalities we're ever going to do. Tell me your plan to be rich. What are you talking about? No.
Rich?
So yeah, I just want to live on 15. We should just change it to living on $1,500 a month. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, but so was there a monetization strategy that ever came in?
Okay, so directly from YouTube.
Yeah.
I will have, if I have 100,000 views, which is what it's been.
Yeah.
I make $200.
Okay. Great.
So when people are like, I want to do YouTube, I'm like, hopefully not for the money because.
Yeah.
But what it has done is sort of been my portfolio. So I've gotten talent jobs. I didn't even know what that was until they're like, talent Shayla. And I was like, who?
Wow.
What is it? What's my job?
This isn't bad.
Yeah. And that will pay you anywhere from like $500 to $4,000 a video.
Tell me a little bit about what these sorts of things are. You don't have to go into detail on specifics, but what would this be?
The first one was Young Living, essential oils. They were like, we want to do something instead of just having all this B-roll of like the lavender fields. We want someone to be like, hey, we're in France and we're going to look at the lavender fields and we're going to see the process of how they make the oil.
Yeah.
And they were like, we need someone bubbly, who's comfortable traveling and who does camera stuff. Literally, I went to a friend of mine's like, Backcountry was doing a story on him and he's like, you should just show up and meet some people. And I met them and then they were the ones who asked me to go do Young Living stuff. And so I went to the Philippines, France, and Australia with them. Okay. And then, I mean, I can't tell you all the things.
No. Yeah, don't give me all the details.
Right. But, well, I mean, I can't say all the companies right now. But basically, like, I did another one with a food brand where they were like, we want to pair food with adventure. And so I was like doing trapeze and staying in a glamping tent. And I was just like, I love traveling. And this food reminds me of this event. And so we're going to go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So awesome. Yeah. My wife follows a handful of influential bloggers that make way more money than I would have ever thought they would make doing 100%. Those sorts of things.
Yeah.
There's this one girl that she follows who just bought one of those really expensive land cruisers recently. And I was just like, are you, how?
Yeah.
How? And there's pictures of her home. And I'm like, this can't be your real home. This is what you do professionally. But it is interesting to know that out of that many views, that's how little YouTube pays you back. Can I ask, do you have the YouTube platinum framed thing?
No,
yet?
That comes at 100. I'm at 54.
Okay, not quite the big shot I thought you were.
Wow.
No, just kidding. No, okay, cool. When you get that, I want to see it. I just want to see one in real life. That'd be really cool.
That. When I get that, I will show you.
I will never get one of those. I don't even put my videos on YouTube. I'm the worst blogger in the world. So
I started a YouTube course. So if you're ever interested,
there you go.
In doing YouTube.
This is part of your entrepreneur story, though. So I mean, this is something that came out of this.
Exactly.
Is teaching
directly.
People. Yeah.
YouTube gives me $200 a month.
Yeah.
Indirectly, there's lots of other things that have come up from it.
Yep.
So that's
great. And again, it was just like an afterthought, right? Like people were probably like, how do I do what you do? And you're like, oh, I'll just start doing it. And then what? And then the money just started coming as, all right, fine. I love this. I love this. I'm happily married. You are in a great relationship right now, and I'm happy for that because there's no way our paths would have ever crossed. It would have been a torturous existence if a person like you and a person like me were to ever try to make any success out of this, right? Like I would constantly be on medication to make sure.
And I would be on medication for being.
And you would too, because you'd be like, why are you so freaked out? Right. It doesn't matter that we don't know where we're going and how long we're going to be here and we don't have, right? And I'd be like, oh my God, where is the hotel? I need a shower. What is happening here?
Showering is the part in the van. But yeah.
Right? Right. I can't live that way. So you heard it here first. This will never be a thing. Okay. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, though, that's, it's part of your story, but I think will be very valuable to the people that are listening. Video is a huge component of my personal business development efforts, my personal branding efforts, my sales, right? Video is incredibly important to me. I create personalized videos for all the prospects that I speak with. I do a lot of videos that I put out on LinkedIn that anyone can see. Yeah. I record my podcast so I can produce the vlog so that I have more micro content. And the number one thing that I hear from so many people, when I tell them about the importance in documenting and telling your story and utilizing video, because it's such a great way to show exactly who you are, right? Is people always say, I don't want to be on camera. I don't feel comfortable on camera. And I always tell them, I started doing this probably 3 years ago. I did not feel comfortable on camera at all at first.
Okay.
And I would watch the video back before I sent it to someone, and I'd cringe. And it legit took me probably 6 months to get to a point where I felt like I was good on camera. And what it really took for me was the realization of what acting really is, at least in my mind.
Yeah.
And acting in my mind is just learning how to just be yourself and not worry that there's cameras on you and just do your thing.
Totally.
But I heard you say something really, really cool that I've actually repeated to a couple people when I heard you speak at Best Buy. I can't remember what that event was called. Do you remember the event name? I don't know. I don't know. But regardless, you said that to get comfortable speaking on camera, many times what you will do is start with a conversation to your sister, and that's the part that you edit out.
Yep.
So you introduce yourself to your sister, you start having a conversation with your sister, and then you just go into telling your sister about your day.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit, because I think this is a great strategy.
Yeah. So when people take my course, they'll send me their first video and they're so awkward. They're
right.
Hey, thank you so much this is my channel. And you can tell that there's like nothing going on right here.
Right.
In front of their eyes. It's just blank. And they're all in their head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, imagine that you're because these people want to teach things, right? I'm like, imagine that your best friend just was like, oh my gosh, how did you do your makeup today?
Right.
So then you're like, oh, hey, Stacy, this is how I did my makeup. I just want to show you. Because how you send it to Stacy is going to be different than Grandma Judy. It's going to be different than if I sent it to you. It's going to be different. Yep. So depending on who you're talking to is how your personality is going to come out.
Yes.
And how, I just did a video about... And the things that you talk about.
Yeah.
So I just did a video. I'm on a 30-day digital detox where I'm not on social media for 30 days.
I like
That's
that
a whole
idea.
Nother my gosh. And I was like, it reminded me of when I was little and I would sit in my room and I had nothing to do except for maybe read a book, and then the radio would turn on and I would run to the tape player to record the song on my tape player. That's something that you just smiled. You're like, okay, I know that.
Yep.
My grandma's going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
Somebody who's a millennial or 15 right now is going to be like, you recorded songs on the radio?
Yeah, I used to actually record. I would pretend to be the radio announcer.
Oh, whoa!
No, this was my thing.
You were born for this.
My friend Lucas. Shout out to Lucas Boats. He's one of the best photographers in Minnesota. If you need a wedding photographer, Lucas Boats. Anyway, Lucas and me used to sit in his parents' basement when we were 10.
Yeah.
And I would record songs off the radio.
Stop.
And then in between the songs, I would come in as the announcer. And then we would record another, and then we would re-listen back to the whole thing, we were our own radio show.
Right.
It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I actually consider this podcast a little bit of a full circle moment in my life.
Totally, yeah.
Because it was kind of even as a child, I wanted to just do this broadcasting thing. And how amazing is it that anyone can be a broadcaster today now?
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is if you know who you're talking to,
yes.
A, you feel comfortable, and B, you can make little jokes about it. And people who do mom things are always well, everybody always wants to appeal to everybody, right? Yeah. And that's something that you hear over and over and over. Something about if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. And I've heard that 1,000 times. But it's true. Mm-hmm. Because if you make the mom jokes because you're the mom, other moms are gonna be like, oh, I get it. I hear you, sister. And they'll connect a lot harder instead of everybody being lukewarm. Yeah. You've got a smaller, really solid group of people.
Yes. This is
touch the mic.
Don't touch the microphone. No, I'm kidding. But this is important in sales, right? Because I think that a lot of the people that are listening to this podcast, they're founders, and sales is always the number one thing that they're struggling with, right? And what I always tell people is, if you just be yourself,
totally,
and you attract your tribe through that, you're going to attract the right fit customers because they want to work with you. They want to know who you are. Mm-hmm. That's where it starts is, I trust you.
Yeah.
I relate to you.
Yep.
I want to know who you are. And now that I know who you are, I want to know what you do. Mm-hmm. Right? And now that I know what you do, I want to find ways that I can work with you so that I can help support you.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the right way to do it. So when you're thinking about, who you're talking to, I guess in my mind, I think your sister is a perfect analogy because Why would you be anything other than your authentic self when you're talking to your sister?
Right.
You don't need to brag about anything. You don't need to make up anything. You don't need to tell tall tales, right? You can just be yourself. You can talk about the hardships. You can talk about the successes.
And if you're selling something, when you tell your sister it, you're going to be genuine.
Absolutely.
You're going to be like, I thought this was a piece of like garbage thing.
Right.
And that's how I feel. I've got these computer glasses and I was like, I thought this was bullshit.
Right.
And now I need them.
Right.
Like almost like my eyes might be too sensitive because I wear them all the time, but I love them.
Right.
And that's genuine.
Yep.
And if I was just like, these computer glasses are super great, my eyes feel wonderful and I crave them all the time. Like that's the blank stare in front of your eyes when you're like, Amber, I thought these were kind of garbage and now I need them.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's so genuine. And so if you are selling something, when you really believe it and you feel like you're talking to your sister, that conversation's way different than when you're talking to a client or something like that.
No, I love that. And I've always told people, do not sell something you don't believe in.
Yeah.
Because people see through it.
Oh, yeah.
And it is impossible. I don't care if you're Tom Hanks. You're not going to be able to act your way through. Selling somebody, taking somebody's money, if it's something you don't honestly believe, is going to help them.
Yep.
Right? Not to throw Tom Hanks under the bus.
Yeah,
I believe he's an active listener of this show. So, no, I'm kidding.
Hey.
I think I have one listener in California. Whatever. Regardless. No, this is great. Okay, so what is next?
Yeah.
What are you working on right now? Because you kind of alluded in the very beginning that you're kind of on this, like, trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
Right.
So what's next?
I'm figuring it out.
What is, like, rising to the top right now?
So
what are the things you're really thinking of?
So once everyone's always like, okay, this is how you do what you want to do. Da, 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 da.
Right.
But what about when you don't know what you want to do?
Yeah.
And so for me, clearly I didn't have a big strategy for what I was doing in the beginning. So now I'm in this like crossroads where I move back home, but I've got this travel following and I feel sort of this pressure to like do the travel stuff. And I'm home. My sister just had a kid, so I've got a nephew and I like want to be home, but I feel like, can I do that? What am I if I'm not a traveler? It's an identity crisis. It's all of a sudden I'm like, this is how most people feel, where they're like, I don't know my purpose. So I'm just going to go to my 9 to 5 because that's what I know, even though I'm not really happy, but I don't know what else to do.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, our 9 to 5 is really that bad because you can clock in, you can clock out, and then you can go home and do whatever you want.
Yep.
Because for me, my sister and my boyfriend are like, why don't you like close the computer at 6 o'clock? And then I'm like, well, what are we going to do then?
Right. Is there life outside of this?
I don't understand. I really don't understand. I'm like, what? Just like watch a show or something? Or like,
no, have an actual conversation.
We could make dinner.
Right.
But then what do we do after dinner? Like, I genuinely like don't get it. So I've been working really hard on that.
Okay.
Anyway, so
yeah. This is part of the digital detox you're going through.
And it's been amazing. Like if I could go live in a hut in the forest,
yeah,
you could visit like maybe for like a day trip.
I'd drop off a thing of soup and I'd be out. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but
I would have to bring scotch with me. Like I would need to medicate, but yeah. Like, are we in a real woods or are we like the backyard of somebody's mansion with like a wooded area?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah. Like, I'd probably.
I didn't even say anything.
You'd have
I just
to like
said
zip
no.
line a bucket out to me, and I would like send you something through the trees. Yeah.
No, but I would like being disconnected like that. So it's not difficult for me to do, but I need to do it for what I do, and I enjoy doing it.
Right.
So. Basically, how I've tried to figure out what to do next is I'm like, what pieces of travel do I love? Mm-hmm. Because I don't know that it's necessarily getting on a plane and going different places. I do love that because I can just be like, nobody's expecting me anywhere. I can just do whatever I want now.
Right.
But the pieces that I love are meeting with people, meeting with new people. And I love talking to anybody and just harvesting their dreams out of them and being like, what's deep in there? Like, what do you want to do?
Right.
And then giving them a million ideas for how to do it because I've seen via traveling that there are a million ways to make money.
Yes.
Ways that you didn't even know were a possibility to make money.
Yep.
And so I feel like I've got a different perspective because I've been out there and I've seen like crazy things. Mm-hmm. And so I like talking to people and being like, okay, well, this is one way you could do this, but you need to do it for 2 years.
Right.
Are you willing to do that? And we were talking about that in the beginning. People are like, I want to do this. And then they fail and they're like, oh, it didn't work.
Right.
And you're like,
keep trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, or they go in with the wrong intention, like, I want to make money from YouTube. I'm like,
yeah. How do you not laugh out loud? Now I will too, because I had no idea that it was so and okay.
Right. So what I'm saying is I want to meet up with people and I want to like coach people because I love my coaching course on YouTube. I want to expand it a little bit further. So I'm thinking like, I don't know. I need to hash this out. These are the initial thoughts. So give me another, I don't know, bit and
we will have you back in 6 months.
I'm
kidding. A lot might change in 6 months though. I mean, and I do want to follow up. I do want to hear where this goes, right? Because I think that this happens. This doesn't just happen to business owners. Anytime you get to a point where you've realized that what you're doing right now, you're not going to keep doing that right now, right? We need to change paths here. For business owners, the scariest thing is when their business is acquired, right? It might be a successful acquisition, but for years and years and years of their life, they've been going a million miles an hour. And now all of a sudden they don't have 1,500 emails hitting them every second. And they don't have big decisions to make. And they don't have a team to make sure is happy. And they don't have investors to talk to make sure the money is still in the bank. And that can be a terrifying thing, right? And I think that that's the stage that you're in right now is I'm going to pivot. I don't know what I'm going to pivot for. And I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing right now because that is what you need to do. You can't make a rash decision into your next thing.
Right.
It's not going to stick. It's like the fallback boyfriend, right? Yeah. It's not going to work, right? You need to just take time. You need to sit back. You need to analyze what parts of this made me happy, what parts didn't. I can tell you right now with 1,000% certainty that if the Travel Channel were to call you up and say, we should give you your own show, we want you to do an Anthony Bourdain type show, I would watch that. I think you would be incredible at that, right? And I don't know if that's part of what your aspirations might be for a next thing. But if you are someone that's comfortable traveling the world and speaking to different cultures, different people, learning from what they're doing and taking some of that on, that is, in my opinion, a rare thing because I can't imagine doing that. And I think it's really cool. And I like watching those shows.
Right.
A lot.
From your air-conditioned living room with your
I love
300-year-old wood.
I know, exactly. Like, I love watching Anthony Bourdain. I love learning about the world from the comfort of my couch.
Yeah.
Right? I feel more worldly. I'm not, but I feel more worldly.
Well, you know more. Yeah. So a lot of times when this happens, because I talk to a lot of people who are like, did you see this video? Do you listen to Gary Vee? Did you do this conference? And people consume even like coaching. And they consume and they consume and they consume and they consume and they consume. And I'm like, you need to start acting. And that's when I need to follow that advice myself. But they're like, oh, I listened to this podcast and it was really good. Oh, I watched this YouTube video and it was so inspiring. I did this and I'm like, you can only take in so much inspiration and so much advice and so much whatever. And that's sort of what this detox has done for me is like when you turn off because I'm an external source seeker. Like I need to talk it out. I need to like look something up. I need to whatever. And I've learned through this detox to like kind of shut all of that off. And very literally sit for 30 minutes with no distraction, no music, no TV, no phone, no nothing. And it's incredible how much, apparently the brain is always processing. And when you do that, it like opens up all the pathways to like clean out all the garbage. And literally thoughts come to me at the end of those 30 minutes. And I'm like, Where did that come from? Yes. And so that's something that I've really been trying to work on instead of constantly be like, I need to go to this conference. I need to get this coach. I need to, people are paying $8,000 for like coaching. And you're like, that's great. But make sure that you do something at the end of that.
Love that. And that, I share that feeling with you because so many times I will sit down with somebody that just wants some advice. And I'm like, I'll give you some time and I'll give you some advice. But please just do me a solid. If I'm going to give you this advice, can you please act upon it? Act in some way. If it doesn't apply to you, then don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fine. But like act in some way. Don't just go back to doing exactly what you were doing before. Because now you just wasted my time. And I don't have a ton of time. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I just don't have a lot of time because I'm wearing like 18,000 hats right now.
None right now.
Almost literally, right? I know. Here I am being the shooter, the editor, the interview. It's ridiculous, right? It's fun. This was awesome having you on.
It was great. Thank you.
I want to have you back when we have some clarity and when we've moved into something else. So let's do that. Okay. And thank you so much for being a guest.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to everybody for listening. And we will have another show in the next 2 weeks, just like we always do. We will be releasing on the 1st and the 15th of every single month. Feel free to watch it on thefoundersmentality.com if you want to see the video, or you can listen on any of your favorite podcast channels. Just look for The Founders Mentality. This has been Josh Feedy, and this has been my guest. Say your name.
Shayla Christine.
Yeah, see, it's all unscripted, so sometimes those moments happen.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.